Oh good, they didn't replace Charles Martinet's voice. Nice to know his legacy still lives on, even through DLC. Good afternoon, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing to you the sixth and final wave of DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I even dressed for the occasion. This new wave comes with 4 new characters: Diddy Kong from Mario Kart Double Dash, Funky Kong from Mario Kart Wii, Pauline from Mario Kart Tour, and Peachette from Mario Kart Tour. There are also 18 new Mii costumes, but that's too many to list here, so let's move on to the new tracks. We have Rome Avanti from Mario Kart Tour, DK Mountain from Mario Kart Double Dash, Daisy Circuit from Mario Kart Wii, Piranha Plant Cove from Mario Kart Tour, Madrid Drive, also from Mario Kart Tour, Rosalina's Ice World from Mario Kart 7, Bowser Castle 3 from Super Mario Kart, and Rainbow Road from Mario Kart Wii. We're already off to a really good start with Rome Avanti, as it's a nighttime level. I always love the nighttime aesthetic in the Mario Kart Tour tracks, and it works really well here as the lighting and the texture work on the ground is absolutely incredible. You start out by going through the Roman Colosseum, which I wish would last a little bit longer, but at least it's there in the first place to be really fun in 200cc and trying to do the drifting. There's not too much else remarkable about the track layout except that it's a pretty solid layout. There aren't too many crazy out of nowhere turns, and every lap is different, so it adds a lot of visual variety. The music is really nice. That's pretty much a consistent thing throughout the booster course pass, so unless I say otherwise, just assume that I really like the music. DK Mountain, on the other hand, is probably my least favorite track in the bunch, because it feels like such a downgrade in visual quality from Rome Avanti, as the dirt looks very basic, and you might be thinking, Paul, it's dirt, what were they supposed to do? My answer is, look at Waluigi Stadium from earlier in the booster course pass for how Nintendo can make dirt look really well. That being said, that is one little bit of a nitpick, as the grass has vastly improved from how it looked in Toad Circuit. There's now a gliding section when you blast out of the DK cannon, and the textures on the mountain do look really nice. I like the added detail that there are DK barrels on the ramps that you can trick off, but one thing that seems like an odd omission is that you can't really boost off of the rocky road near the end of the mountain. There are some half pipes that you can do tricks off of, which I don't even think were there in the Mario Kart Wii remake of this track, which is bizarre because Mario Kart Wii was the game that introduced half pipe tricks. There are some neat sharp turns that normally I would complain about, but they're just so much fun to speed through in 200cc that I'm willing to give it a pass. I like that there are boulders to avoid, but they don't go too quickly. It feels like they're just the right speeds, that it's not too easy, but not too challenging. Maybe I would have liked this course better if I was nostalgic for Mario Kart Double Dash, but I didn't really like that game as much as most other people, so I kind of felt like it was just okay. I don't want you all to think that it was a bad track, just that it's by far the worst looking, the worst sounding, and probably the most boring track of the bunch, while still being a solid track in its own right. Daisy Circuit is a pretty basic layout, but this is a Mario Kart Wii track, so Mario Kart Wii fans wouldn't have it any other way. It's basically just a giant loop-de-loop around, honestly, really beautiful scenery. I like the particle effects in the water. The crowd that cheers you on at the beginning actually looks like a crowd. It doesn't just look like a bunch of pixels like they did in some of the earlier Mario Kart Tour tracks. I like how there's now 2 fountains that you drive by. Maybe that already existed in Mario Kart Wii, but it felt new to me because the second fountain looks like it has Baby Luigi and Baby Daisy. Maybe a reference to Luigi and Daisy being a couple in the original Mario movie? I especially love how when you're going by the fountains, the sun hits at just the right angle so that it seems like the road is glowing, and it makes for a very visually appealing section. There's also the elevated part of the road on the left side that you can use if you're a skilled player, but I didn't really see any practical benefits, especially when there were boost pads on the normal part of the road. It's a fine track, nothing mind-blowing, but nothing offensive either. At least the music is nice and calming. It feels like how you remember it in Mario Kart Wii, but at the same time with such higher quality, which is great because the music in Mario Kart Wii was fine from a compositional standpoint, but it just sounded way too MIDI for me, so I'm glad to see that Nintendo has stepped in and fixed it. Piranha Plant Cove is absolutely beautiful. It starts out underwater, then it goes above ground, and it keeps weaving in and out of the water in such amazing ways that it almost feels like a dance. I love all of the scenery underwater, such as the clams and the types of rocks that there are, as well as sightings from the Unagi, that terrifying eel that frightens so many children in Super Mario 64. At one point, it even does like a miniature jump scare. It didn't scare me. The one in Mario 64 was way more effective at jump scaring. I don't know if gaming will ever be able to top that in future Mario games. Overall, it looks great, controls great, the underwater aesthetics just look really nice, especially when you're about to come out or into the water. Just the particle effects look so amazing. They even make Mario Sunshine water look weak. And it almost feels like you go through the course backwards on the third lap, as just like with pretty much every other Mario Kart Tour track, every lap is different, providing some excellent visual variety in a track that's already overflowing with visual variety. Might be my favorite track in the bunch. I'll have to think about it when I eventually do my ranking, but it is absolutely incredible that this was originally on a mobile phone. So Nintendo has really come in and optimized the power of the Mario Kart 8 engine that they really should have used from the beginning of the booster pass, but at least they used it eventually. Madrid Drive is a track that is overall great, but its wow factor is really sporadic. There are some moments where you go through a museum and the music actually changes. The same thing happens when you go through a soccer field. There's also a moment when you're going through a plaza and it starts out with a giant wiggler in the road that's asleep, and then in the second lap he's awake. At least he doesn't rampage around the track like he did in DS Mario Circuit and Maple Treeway. It's fine. The music is fine. It's another Mario Kart Tour City track, but this one's during the day, so it's not as impressive as Rome Avanti. Rosalina's Ice World was a great showcase for the 3DS's ability to have a handheld Mario Kart have full 3D graphics, and they managed to make it even better here in Mario Kart 8. For starters, the lighting is absolutely phenomenal. The way it hits the ground makes it feel like it has sort of an icy texture to it, which, of course, it's Rosalina's Ice World. Of course it should be like that. Even though most of the ground is covered in actual ice and snow, it doesn't feel slippery. It feels perfectly natural to drive on, although for some reason I found some of the turns harder when capturing this footage than I did even when I was playing it on my own in 200cc. I like the overall theme of choice that this track has to offer, as early on you can choose to either drive on the ice or drive underwater. However, in subsequent laps, the ice starts to melt so that it's harder to stay on the ice, and you either have to go under the water or you have to get a mushroom so that you can burst enough to get back onto the ice. Then there's an ice cave where you can choose between the safer path, but then the dangerous path that has the cliff on the right has more boost panels. Then immediately after that, if you have a mushroom, you can do a shortcut, but that shortcut is covered with snow that slows you down. So overall, it emphasizes player freedom, which might have been an unintentional reference to the fact that Super Mario Galaxy let you get the stars out of order. As far as how it relates to Rosalina, you can see the Gateway Galaxy in the background, and directly next to the starting area there's the beacon of the Comet Observatory. Apart from that, it's a pretty loose representation. Still a very visually appealing course with the music feeling nice and soothing. But if you really wanted to make a Mario Galaxy 2 course, that's where something like Dragon Driftway comes in. Still a very amazing track, and I'm very happy that an already good looking track in Mario Kart 7 could somehow manage to wow me even further. All I did was take a glance at Bowser Castle 3 when I watched my friend playing it, and I said, this is incredible. Earlier in the Booster Course Pass, we had Mario Circuit 3 from Super Mario Kart, and in my personal opinion, it was by far the worst track in the entire game. It was basically the Super Nintendo track, flat and everything, just in 3D, not looking too much better than it did in Mario Kart Wii. But this is how you do a Super Nintendo track. Even some of the base Mario Kart 8 tracks, like Donut Plains, could learn from this. There's a lot of lava around, which is obvious, but there's also lava spewing from the walls and appearing on the side of you. When you go over a grate that has lava under you, you can sort of see heat waves coming. There's a lot of anti-gravity sections and ramps to make it not be flat like a Super Nintendo track usually is. I also like the neat touch that when the thwomps crash into the ground, there's like little lava effects to show that beneath them is all hot. And near the end of the course, there's a section with a bunch of walls and torches where you can drive on top of the walls if you're skilled enough, but they are very narrow, so you really have to know what you're doing, especially if you're in a Grand Prix in the heat of all of the other players and all of the chaos. There are even sections in anti-gravity, which at the beginning of the Booster Course Pass, I don't think any of us thought Nintendo was willing to do. The only thing I can really nitpick about in this course is the music. It's a bit too rockish for my tastes, but on the other hand, I like that it's a remix of the final battle theme in Super Mario World. At least it's a neat callback. I never thought I'd see the day when a DLC course in Mario Kart 8 would manage to show the base Mario Kart 8 a way to recreate a flat track. And finally, we have Mario Kart Wii's version of Rainbow Road. 3DS Rainbow Road set the standard for what Rainbow Roads could look like in the Booster Course Pass. And while obviously opinions are going to be subjective, I think it's a pretty close race between this one and 3DS Rainbow Road. I think the 3DS Rainbow Road is more visually distinct because it has 3 different laps and it has more variety, but Mario Kart Wii's Rainbow Road emphasizes a lot of speed and tricks and really getting good at the road, which makes this exhilarating in 200cc, which I think was the original intention of Mario Kart Wii, now fully realized. The rainbow looks like you're driving on an actual rainbow. The music feels like you remember it, but at the same time better and more celebratory. It feels like this is the final track in the Booster Course Pass, and we are going to go out strong. I love the fact that most of the track is in anti-gravity, and they have the half pipes. I really like how in 200cc, at normal speed, you can boost over the holes in the ground, when previously you would have either needed to do a trick or have a mushroom. It's just so much fun. I don't really know how else to describe it. Sure, there's the parts where you just fly through space, but I think Mario Kart Wii made it cooler than it was in previous tracks with a cannon by having the rainbow particle effects all around you and doing the sound effect that was used in Super Mario Galaxy when you went through a warp star. To further the Mario Galaxy reference, there are also star bits hanging around, which do nothing, but is a nice little visual touch. Overall, this is a spectacular track. It may not be as mind-blowing or visually stunning as Rainbow Road 64, but it still proves to be a fun track, especially in 200cc, and a great showstopper for the final stretch of the Booster Course Pass. Overall, I liked the Final Wave DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but I'm still not sure if I'm ready to call it the best wave. I think my overall favorite is still Wave 4 because that was the one that had Yoshi's Island, and it also felt like the first significant step forward in improving the graphics and making the tracks feel up to the standards of the base game. I am a bit disappointed that they didn't have a brand new track for the final wave. They did for waves 2, 4, and 5. And of those 3, Yoshi's Island was one of the best retro remakes in the entire series when we got amazing stuff in Base 8's DLC like Hyrule Circuit. And then I know some of my friends and I had our personal picks that we really wanted to get in. A lot of my friends said they wanted Airship Fortress. I wanted the Woohoo Island tracks from Mario Kart 7. All of us were baffled that Wario Stadium from Mario Kart 64 remains the only track from that game that's never been remade in a Mario Kart game on an official Nintendo system. Mario Kart Tour doesn't count, but even then I don't think that ever remade it either, so Wario Stadium remains an odd anomaly. Do I think the Booster Course Pass is worth it now that it's completed? Yes, absolutely worth it. If you don't have a Switch Online expansion pack, I think $25 is insane. You paid, I think it was $12 for all of the DLC tracks in Mario Kart 8. That was already a steal. This is even more than that. And the price isn't actually too much greater. Some of these tracks look on par with, and in some cases better than the tracks in the base game. And pretty much all of them are a blast. Even if they're just fine, that can easily transform when you're either playing with your friends or in 200cc where all of the rules are different. I have now gotten to the point where I can safely say that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has surpassed Mario Kart Wii as my favorite Mario Kart game. I know I was initially hesitant because I think the gamepad is more comfortable than the Joy-Cons, but 8 Deluxe just added so much additional content with the Booster Course Pass, and as well as adding the auto accelerate to prevent my thumbs from cramping up, that I consider it the definitive Mario Kart 8 experience. I'm personally not that offended that Nintendo chose to go this route instead of Mario Kart 9 because it meant more of a game that I loved. It's the same reason why I loved the DLC in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, because we got to have Banjo-Kazooie amidst a bunch of Nintendo All-Stars. That would have been cool to see a banjo track in here, but we can't have everything. That would just be in the realms of impossibility at this point. But I do think that the experience of playing Mario Kart 8 at a demo kiosk when it first came out and being mind blown by the graphics and the controls and just how much better it was than Mario Kart 7 has been safely replicated throughout the latter half of the Booster Course Pass history. It allowed me to have that same excitement that I had in 2014 carry over almost 10 years later. Admittedly, it's not as exciting to see a bunch of returning courses and seeing that the wave had to take a while to get up to the standards of the base game, but it was still amazing to have new content for a game that's been around since 2014, and I think that that's pretty impressive. And I also think that it's a good way of challenging whoever makes the next Mario Kart game to be like, okay, we got like 92 courses. You think you can do better than that? So yes, absolutely worth a buy. It's absolutely been a blast reviewing these for you. I'm very happy that my editing skills have improved and my footage capturing skills have improved so that I could step up my own game just like Nintendo stepped up theirs. I hope that you guys have enjoyed watching these reviews and seeing my gameplay. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Please let me know down in the comments what you think and how you feel now that the Booster Course Pass is finished. What was your favorite track? I love reading and responding to comments. I'm not just saying that for engagement, that's how I honestly feel. So please don't be shy about sharing your thoughts. Special thanks to my patrons, Matthew Rakowski, Spoon Ghost, and Splatcat, especially Matthew Rakowski, because he gave me the t-shirt that I wore at the beginning of the video. And until the next time, remember to keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye!